At 70 years old, Kevin Costner just lost $38 million. His marriage shattered in public, his closest friend betrayed him, and the film he mortgaged his life for is being called his biggest mistake. But this isn't a story about failure. This is about a boy who slept in cold apartments, a man who was cut from his first major film, and a legend who refused to stay down when Hollywood buried him alive. What you're about to discover will change how you see success, heartbreak, and the price of never giving up. Stay until the end, because the final chapter will leave you speechless. A cramped house in Linwood, California, smelled of oil and exhaustion. This is where it began. Kevin Costner entered a world already marked by tragedy. 2 years before his birth, his brother Mark lived for just one day before his heart stopped beating. That loss hung over the family like fog that never lifts. His father Bill came home every night with dirt under his fingernails from digging ditches. His mother Sharon carried other people's sorrows as a social worker, then came home to hide her own. By age 12, Kevin had moved more times than most people do in a lifetime. Compton, Ventura, Visalia, Orange County, always packing, always starting over, always the quiet kid in the back who learned that nothing stays. Teachers forgot his name, classmates never remembered him. He wrote poems in notebooks no one would ever read. But something was forming in that silence, a hunger that wouldn't die, a belief that even invisible boys can build something the world cannot ignore. Kevin is 23, newly married, working a safe marketing job that's killing him from the inside. Then, destiny sat beside him on a plane from Mexico. Richard Burton, one of the greatest actors alive. Kevin confessed his secret dream to act. Burton looked at him with eyes that had seen everything and said, "You have green eyes. I have green eyes. I think you'll be fine." When the plane landed, Burton's limousine drove away while Kevin waited for a bus. But Burton's window rolled down and he said 2 words that would echo forever. Good luck. Within weeks, Kevin quit everything. Drove a battered Datsun to Los Angeles with barely enough money for gas. What followed was hell. He scrubbed boats until his hands bled, drove delivery trucks through LA traffic, gave bus tours of movie star homes while wondering if he'd ever have one himself. Some nights, the heat failed in his apartment. He'd curl up fully clothed, whispering, "Just one more day." His first film, a cheap beach movie called Sizzle Beach, USA, that he'd later call his greatest humiliation. Then came the cruelest blow. He landed a role in The Big Chill, a real film, a major director. He poured his soul into every scene. They cut him completely, every single frame, erased. He sat alone at the premiere, watching his name disappear, not even a mention. 6 years of rejection, 6 years of invisibility, but he didn't quit. He couldn't, because the boy who learned to keep starting over was about to explode into the light. Silverado changes everything. Kevin Costner finally appeared on screen and Hollywood couldn't look away. Within 2 years, The Untouchables made him America's hero. $100 million at the box office. But that was just the beginning. Bull Durham, Field of Dreams. The man who once slept in freezing apartments now stood in cornfields, whispering lines that made grown men weep. If you build it, he will come. Then Kevin did something insane. He mortgaged everything to make Dances with Wolves. A 3-hour Western in the Lakota language. Hollywood called it career suicide. Studios begged him to cut it. He refused. The budget exploded to $22 million. Storms destroyed sets. Actors quit. He spent nights alone in freezing trailers, wondering if he'd destroyed his life. The film made $424 million. Won 7 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. Prince of You. Thieves, $390 million. The Bodyguard with Whitney Houston, $411 million. He turned down $10 million upfront for profit share and made over $20 million. Within 3 years, Kevin Costner became one of the highest paid actors in the world. But success has teeth, and they were about to sink deep. Then came Waterworld, the film that nearly killed him. Hurricanes destroyed sets, the budget exploded to $235 million, he almost drowned, tied to a mast during filming, the press called it Kevin's Gate, it bombed. The Postman followed 2 years later, even worse. Swept the Razzies for Worst Picture, Worst Actor, Worst Director. The same hands that held Oscars now trembled over unpaid bills. But here's what separates legends from everyone else. Kevin didn't retreat. He went back to work. Smaller films, westerns no one else would make. "I've never been afraid of beginning again," he said, because the boy who packed boxes 50 times knew how to rebuild. Yellowstone changed everything again. At 63, Kevin became John Dutton, the weary patriarch fighting for what cannot be replaced. The show became cable's most watched drama, 16 million viewers, 1.3 million per episode, and he was preparing his masterpiece, an American saga. The film he'd carried in his heart for decades. Studios said it was too long, too expensive, too risky. Kevin invested $38 million of his own money, mortgaged his home. "If it fails," he said, "it fails with my name on it." It made $38.7 million, less than he spent, but that wasn't the deepest cut. Kevin is on set when he receives divorce papers. Christine Baumgartner, his wife of 19 years, the mother of his 3 youngest children, filing for divorce. "It felt like the ground came out from under me," he said. What followed was brutal. Public court battles, $248,000, monthly child support demands, eventually reduced to $63,000, 3 children, now splitting time between houses, the Santa Barbara home where they took first steps, now divided by lawyers. Then came the photographs. Christine walking on the beach with Josh Connor, a man Kevin had called friend. The betrayal cut deeper than money ever could. This was his second marriage to end. 7 children total from 3 women. 2 divorces that cost him over $150 million combined. "The first time I lost half my wealth," he told a friend. "This time I lost half my heart." But there was another loss that never made headlines, one that broke him in ways fame could never repair. Before the divorces, before the money, there were 2 people who believed in him when he was nothing: Bill and Sharon Costner, his parents. His mother fell ill while he was chasing the dream they sacrificed for. "You're doing fine," she told him on the phone. "Just don't forget to rest." He promised. It was the last promise he ever made to her. When the call came, he was on set. Lights too bright, noise too loud, she's gone. He didn't make it in time to hold her hand. 2 years later, his father followed, as if one heart couldn't beat without the other. At the funeral, Kevin looked at the casket and thought of the hands that built every fence, every piece of who he'd become. He never asked for credit, just honesty. "When your parents are gone," he said, "you become the parent of yourself." Then another call came. Whitney Houston found dead in a Beverly Hills hotel room. 6 days later, Kevin stood at her funeral before millions watching worldwide. His voice trembled. "Whitney, you weren't just good enough. You were great." Then he whispered the line that broke the world, "And I will always love you." 3 losses. His mother, his father, his friend, the people who saw him before the world did. Today, Kevin Costner is 70 years old. His body aches from decades of stunts. His back protests every morning. His knees remember every fall. But he still wakes before dawn at his Dunbar Ranch in Aspen. Still feeds the horses. Still walks the same paths. Still believes. His net worth exceeds $250 million, but that's not the measure. 7 children carry his name. Annie, the film producer. Lily, the singer. Joe, working behind the camera. Liam, living quietly. And the youngest 3, Caden, Hayes, and Grace, still filling his home with laughter. Family isn't a chapter, he says. It's the whole book. He's been cut from films, mocked by critics, divorced twice, betrayed by friends, and lost the people he loved most. But he's still standing, still creating, still fighting. Because Kevin Costner never learned how to quit. He only learned how to begin again. The boy from Linwood who packed boxes 50 times built an empire, not of fame, but of endurance. If this story moved you, honor him with a like. Subscribe to see more untold stories of legends who refuse to break. And in the comments, tell me what's the one dream you've given up on that Kevin's story just reignited. Because if a ditch digger's son can rise from nothing, survive everything, and still keep building horizons at 70, then maybe, just maybe, it's not too late for any of us.